Welcome back to the show. I'm Andrew. With us, as always, is the great and wonderful Mr. Elf.
Hi.
And today, a very special guest filling in for Joey, who
Joey's caught the
been
sickness,
missing,
but not the sickness you think.
is our good friend and Crawl Meetup regular, Jermaine.
Hey.
All right. So we got a couple games to talk about today. Canvas, Space Base, some board game news, and whatever other nonsense we decide to get into. So, Ralph, why don't you start it off with Canvas?
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Absolutely. So we're talking about Canvas today because I had backed it on Kickstarter, and I happened to get it in the mail today. So why not? So this is a little game called Canvas. So in this game, you are playing an artist. You laughing at the cat?
I'm laughing at the cat every time. without fail. And then when we do audio too, as soon as we start recording and get going, we just hear the pathetic cries from the other room.
Yeah. So in Canvas, you're playing an artist, and what you're trying to do is match up a few of these background cards, right? So there's a little background. Some of them have little symbols, like color swatches, and there's like this little blank black text here. And what you're doing is you're sleeving these backgrounds along with these transparent cards. So this is going to be a little hard to see. So I'm going to try and, so like they've got little designs on them. And what you're doing is like you're slotting them into the picture to kind of create your own little, it's up to 3 transparent cards plus 1 background, and you're trying to sleeve them to earn points. So there's various different little ways to earn points. You'll notice that at the bottom of some of these transparent cards, this is going to be very difficult to see.
Like a beauty YouTuber.
Yeah. Is that focus? But they have like 4 different symbols, all relating to art. So the shape, the color palette, things like that. And depending on the cards that you're randomly drawing at the start of the game, you're going to earn ribbons for that category. Ooh. And each of those categories is worth a first, second, and third amount of points. Places for who has the most ribbons at the end of the game. Nice. I believe you go through the rounds 3 or 4 times, and then you count up your points. It's a 1 to 5 player game. It plays in about 30 minutes. It's super quick.
Nice.
I chose to bring just the base game with me, but I also bought the expansion, which I loved because not only is this like cool artwork on the front, but the expansion, the box you put next to it, and it extends out the picture.
Like System of a Down album?
Kind of. And then the box has like, it's got a little, you can't really see it, but at the top here, it's got
you
a little
actually
hang this up.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I like that.
And like the art, like, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Dixit, and especially the art in that game. And as soon as I saw this game with like the brilliant colors and all of that, it's like, plus you're building your own painting, you know?
Yeah.
You're not just choosing a piece of art that's already created. Like, you are the artist. So
nice.
Whether you want to add like a tower of books to your thing, or a guy on a ladder, like it's a really cool and interesting idea. And it was relatively cheap to pick up. It was like $25.
Oh,
plus
that's cheap for a Kickstarter.
Yeah. Plus I think it was like another 20 or 25 for the expansion. And the expansion has reversible cards. So where you might see, you know, a guy on a ladder, well, you're not going to see it, but it's there. Trust me. Where you might see a guy on a ladder, you can flip it around, and it might have different icons in the same place that it's. Oh, geez, this is horrible. I'm so sorry.
I can actually hold on. I can help.
Oh, yeah.
You can zoom in.
Oh no, not that way. Oh God. Yeah. Wait. Oh, all right. So here's the guy on the ladder. Right. Here we go. Oh. Sorry, I'm doing this backwards. So like where you have this image, if you were to flip it around instead of, oh God, this is terrible for me. I've never done this. Where it has like a printed word or the icons, like those might be different on the other side. And you'll notice that like, because these are transparent, when you flip them around, now these like little color swatches are going to the opposite side that you would slot them. So it gives it like a very interesting sort of puzzle that you're piecing together. So it's a whoa, not too close. So it's very cool. I thought this was like such a unique idea Similar. I mean, the transparent card thing is not new, right?
No,
games
but-
like Mystic Vale have done it before.
Yeah, but doesn't everyone kind of dunk on Mystic Vale because even though it has the cool transparent components, it's overall not a very exciting game.
I'll let you know when I play it.
Oh, I didn't mean to ruin it for you.
No, I haven't heard that, but that would be interesting.
Yeah.
At least with this, you're having like some artistic fun with it. So it's not, even if the game sucks, it's not totally a complex game that like you're trying to do here.
Have you ever played the Bob Ross game?
No.
No. It's similar where you're racing to make paintings, but it's more of like a resource management game. Mm-hmm. So you're depending on the thing in the picture, you're trying to get like a specific colors and brushes, and then you're trading all those in to then complete that piece. All the while, little Bob Ross meeple's going across the board, and you're trying to finish the painting before him.
Oh, pretty cool.
So, beat Bob Ross.
You got to beat Bob Ross. Well, he's unbeatable.
You just got to hope he makes a happy little accident along the way. And then,
yeah. But no, it sounds good. I do like games that use transparent cards. I feel like there's not enough. Like Gloom uses them really good.
Yeah, that's a great example.
And then there's what's the one you just said?
Oh, Mystic Vale.
Mystic Vale uses them. I hear Hostile Hoarders is utilizing that for their pet cards.
That's true.
That's pretty fancy. Mm-hmm. But I like them, and they're spill proof because they're plastic.
Yeah. I will say, big downside, and this is a very specific to me downside, is that there's this tiny little piece of film on the front and back of these cards, and as the resident nail biter of the group, this sucks. Like it's like it'll come off after a few uses, but if you're trying to peel these ahead of time, it's
Where's your banjo pick?
It's up there. Yeah. But I went through this when I bought Mystic Vale. I peeled every card. I swear to God, I must have used like 10 tons of plastic just peeling off those stupid things. Like they're not very.
I was just thinking, I'm like, yeah, but with the plastic, it's more plastic waste, but it can't be that bad. But now you're telling me you triple the plastic waste.
Pretty much.
With actual waste, you have to pull off and discard.
It's not great, but I think they do it for the cutting purposes when they're trying to cut out all these different things.
Yeah, and
don't watch me struggle, Jermaine. It's going to be a while.
I'm trying to figure this out.
It's gonna. But I mean, they do say if you play with these cards, after a while, it eventually starts coming off itself. So
okay, sounds good. You wanted to look at the Kickstarter page?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind showing it.
To the Kickstarter page. Let's do a fancy transition.
Okay, let me hide that chat window real quick. All right. So this game was actually huge. Considering
I remember it being the talk of the town a while back when it went live.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this was the case when this went live, but it's modest $50,000 goal, and then it explodes at just under 800,000. That's pretty impressive.
I thought we agreed that was the norm.
Yeah. Everybody lowballs the goal just to get to 24 hours really quick. Is that what we said? Yeah.
Exactly.
Here you can actually see a picture of the boxes hung up next to each other, the expansion and the and these aren't like normal box lids. Like this actually slides out like a drawer, which is kind of cool. So you don't have to worry about your contents spilling all over the ground or anything like that.
Nice.
But I just wanted to, because I knew the artwork would be very difficult to see on camera, I wanted to at least scroll through and really show you. So if you're looking at, like, let's say this image, right? On this top row, what you're going to see is the 4 different scoring categories. Mm-hmm. And then there's this 5th one that's like silver ribbons, where sometimes they're just on cards and you get them as points automatically. And on your turn, like the turns are super simple. You're either pulling one of these cards, and it has, I forget what the mechanic is called, but the card furthest from the right costs nothing. It's free. And as you start moving in, you have to pay tokens, which are actually cute little like easel tokens, or they're not easels. They're the hand ones, the little color palette where you mix all your colors.
What are those called?
I think you guys know what I'm talking about.
Is it just called a palette?
It might. Well, I'm sure we'll see some. So as you get closer and closer to the deck on the right, you're paying more and more to take those cards. But your turn is either you're just taking one of those cards, or you're building and completing a painting.
Okay.
Right?
Little market. Oh, it's
No,
got the.
we gotta scroll quick.
Go back. That.
All right.
Oh, it got. Seal of Excellence, Dice World. Sorry, Dice Tower.
Wow. They'll love it too, I'm sure.
Got the Jamie Stegmaier seal of approval.
Yep.
It's pretty dope.
Rado loves it. Rado loves a lot of stuff. I miss how much I used to watch Rado all the time. And like, because he was just so like, you could tell how enthused he was about playing games. Yeah. And he was always like, he even calls himself a teddy bear. Like he's just super nice. He tries to find like the most optimistic things about it. And the stuff he hates, he doesn't really hate. He's just like, well, you know, I kind of bounced off of this and that. Like super cool guy to watch.
Nice guy.
And then watch it play, lots of fun. But not, you know.
Why'd they put, is Paula Deming part of Watch It Played?
According to this. But this Kickstarter, don't forget, is quite a bit old. Probably like a year or so now. But you'll see, like, here's just an example of some of the different things people put together. And it's kind of beautiful, you know? It's visually stunning to look at. It actually comes with a little mat because there's not much for a game board going on.
Yeah.
And it all just slides into this convenient little...
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that animation.
Yeah. So cool.
You said this was kind of old for a Kickstarter.
Well, I mean, it's old because it's... well, I got mine today, which means it would have funded... Let me see if I can find the date. Technical difficulty. Where does it say it? Usually it says it somewhere. Andrew, help.
It was sometime last year. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. I mean, I can find the exact date later, but typically a Kickstarter takes about a year, if not longer, to produce everything and then get all the files to the shops where they print them and then ship it across. Because a lot of times these games are printed like in China or somewhere across seas. And especially now with all of the, you know, the shipping problems and transit problems everywhere, you know, that I think they actually met their deadline, but
that's crazy,
which is kind of impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think anyone's met their deadline. I think Dark Tower is a year behind.
Yeah. So when I say old, I just mean it was funded about a year ago, but it's not an old game. This is actually the expansion Kickstarter that we're looking at. This is how I got it. So this is their second printing of the game. So this game has been out for a while now.
Oh, wait. So the Kickstarter was for a second printing. It wasn't for.
This is the second printing because the expansion was coming out. But there was another Kickstarter.
Oh, I see.
Which I should be able to pull up if you want some initial numbers. So like this was with the expansion that close to 800,000.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. I should just be able to go back and. Yeah, first run. Close. A little over 700.
It's crazy. Same deal. Yep.
Yeah.
No, same game. Yeah.
Estimated delivery 2020, which means probably 2019 Kickstarter.
Is that the same picture? Those pictures look different.
This one.
Yeah, the grass is different.
Yeah.
The foreground grass.
Mm-hmm.
It's like almost the same, but slightly different.
Yeah. This is probably a new box because I backed it with the expansion. So the expansion didn't exist, but it also, the art style, this is more like accentuated brush strokes, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas you can kind of see a lot of finer details, like the scarf. Actually, she's not even wearing a scarf in this one.
Yeah, that's what I caught my eye is that.
Yeah.
There's no scarf, but the cloud's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Canvas conspiracy.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes I think these games to me are like, it's a breath of fresh air, right? I don't have to place workers. I don't have to do all this nonsense. Sometimes I'm just painting a picture. And,
yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to, you know, be optimal. It doesn't have to be an engine that nets me massive amount of points. You know, it could just be art for the, you know, the sake of art.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good to have all levels of games in your collections for yourself and others.
What are you talking about, Andrew? What are you trying to say about my game?
Trying to say this clearly, you're clearly saying it's a mid to low mid complexity.
It is very, very simple. It's a very simple game, very short game, 30 minutes for, you know, 1 to 5 players. So yeah, I agree with you. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's especially like when we do meetups, like a game like that would be great because I can just grab it, teach it in a few minutes, and it's not too overwhelming.
And you don't have to chaperone.
I don't have to chaperone.
Yeah.
Or learn Zombicide in like 10 minutes.
I saw that. That was very
man.
impressive. Very impressive.
I still don't think I know all the rules.
No.
Wow.
There were
But-
some times where you called something. I'm like, maybe that was an on the fly ruling.
Oh yeah, I was basically the dungeon master.
Yeah.
Because whatever rule there wasn't, I was just like, yeah, that
Can't
makes
find
sense.
this. You said the rule book was kind of.
The rule book wasn't very good, and so I don't. That was my first experience with Zombicide. Was Baptism by Fire. Trying to learn it at a meetup in like 10 or 15 minutes.
Have 3 people waiting on you.
So to
Yeah.
4 people that never played.
Not to mention, didn't you punch out all the components too during?
Yeah.
We had to punch a few things out. We were like straight up just missing. It was a donation from our friends at Flynn's. So we were straight up just missing one of the character miniatures.
Wow.
But we made it through and we had a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this. Because, for example, Chris and I, she is definitely a number. She likes the games with lots of numbers and, number crunching. And I think I've learned that I like the not social deception.
Social
what would you call-
deduction?
Social deduction games. But this is a happy medium for the two of us.
Yeah.
It's simple. And I would hang that on my wall.
What did,
Oh, yeah,
What did you
absolutely.
think of Zombicide? As that may have been your first dive into the coveted Ameritrash category.
Oh, is that a category?
I would say Zombicide kind of like set that category.
Yeah.
And so if you ask anyone like name a Ameritrash game, they're gonna say Zombicide, which I think at this point people say it like, it's wholesome to call it Ameritrash. Like it's you're not knocking it as much as you're,
Yeah.
it's like think of any kind of music that's like very abrasive and stuff. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just like, if you're a really thinky and strategic person, you might not enjoy a game like that.
I think they did a good job. And this kind of, I think they did a good job at making it what the theme is. Where like
It was exactly as advertised, right?
You're out to kill as many zombies as possible.
Yeah.
And they gave you a motive for that. Like you level up and gain other abilities to kill more
That
zombies.
that was surprisingly interesting. Although we did play that one scenario where, but I think we said it. We like
second one?
literally stacked the deck in our
yeah,
favor.
there was no losing.
Because we got to a point where like it didn't make sense to level up anymore. Because when you level up, also the zombie spawns get harder.
Yeah.
So it's like it was better just
So
to
we're
kill
like,
them all.
I'm not
and then-
killing it. You kill it.
Yeah. Which I'd have to play a longer scenario to see if that's the norm or that just happened in our case.
That could be a pro and con. That the scenarios take a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the mechanics though, and I was telling you, I think the medieval version of Zombicide, I think
Oh.
I would prefer over that. Just because if it's going to be about the same, I feel like I'd enjoy that kind of setting more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
assuming with the ability or gaining the skills along the way, it's probably more interesting in that game than what the normal characters get in Zombicide. But
What about Marvel Zombicide?
no, I will not play that.
So quick.
Boycotting Marvel.
Yeah.
IP saturation, which we're going to talk more about later.
Oh, boy.
IP saturation.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. but yeah.
Yeah,
Canvas.
That's Canvas. I mean, like I said, I had just gotten it today. Most of these components aren't even unwrapped, or I haven't looked at any of them outside of the rule book, which is like a cool 7 pages tops, and it's mostly
Nice.
big pictures. Big pictures and big words, just for me.
Big picture, good. Big picture,
yeah.
no read.
So yeah, I look forward to bringing this to the next game night, and
Yeah.
seeing what people think and getting to try it out.
Awesome. All right. Moving right along. Tonight, I want to talk about a game, which is an older game, but it's one that I first played recently. And this is a game, like any hobby, you're in it for a long time. And, you start to get a little desensitized by, the products, the stuff. This one is actually a game that I haven't felt this in a long time, where I'm so into it that I will not turn down playing it. And so that game is right here. Space Base. So Space Case. That was a good show. Remember Space Cases?
No.
The Nickelodeon? No. Oh, there's all the kids, one kid from each planet.
No.
They were like on a school on a ship, but the ship was alive. And
I think you're making
This sounds like a mix of
the girl had an imaginary friend, and then like they go through some wormhole, and then
Spoiler
like,
alert,
they switch. If you haven't seen Space Cases by now, I can't help you.
I haven't.
Anyways, so designed by John D. Clare. This is a dice rolling game, although you're only ever rolling 2 dice for 2 to 5 players. So basically what you're doing is you're going to have this long player board, and you're tracking 3 different resources. You have your space bucks. I don't remember exactly what the resource is called. No. Your income level and your points. On top of that, you'll have the numbers 1 through 12, and everyone will start off with the same generic ships. And so in the middle of that, for all the players, there's also a market. There's a level 1, level 2, level 3 market, and then there's the actual bases. So what's going to happen is on your turn, you're going to roll 2 dice. And what's cool is you can either combine the dice and take that number, or you can activate each die individually as 2 numbers. Okay. Eventually, when you start buying ships, you'll buy a ship that's a number, and you're going to put that number in that slot. And then each card, they're little skinny cards too, which at first I was kind of like, why are they so small? But like, if you were to stack 12 cards across in front of you, you'd run out of room quick.
Yeah.
But anytime you buy an upgraded ship, you're going to take whatever's in there and you're going to flip it upside down. And there's a little red area that's upside down when you're looking at it, but then it flips up. And now that becomes a reward when someone rolls it on their turn. So basically what you're doing, you're trying to just mitigate dice rolls of what you're rolling or what your opponents are rolling. Maybe you're going to try to bank on one number. You're going to put all your effort into building up that number because you're going to hit it big on that, or maybe you're going to kind of spread out. On top of that, a lot of the cards have abilities where you could like charge counters to do different things, or even ones that like will combine numbers. So when you roll a 9, it actually, you can choose between 8 or 10.
Yeah.
Which is a good way. The higher ones obviously are the better ones because it's harder to roll those numbers on 2 dice, with 7 being the average. And then at some point you have to decide, or you don't have to, at some point you can decide to basically, settle down and start a space base of your own. So the space bases, they're high in points, but they effectively shut that number off for the rest of the game for you. So typically no one really buys those early on. It's kind of at the end, everyone's scrambling to get those. But I've definitely played games where nobody's bought a base, and I've played games where, a couple bases is what puts you over in the end. The other mechanic I find super interesting is, instead of collecting like money each turn, the income, what the income does is it sets your minimum. So anything you buy in Space Base, no matter if it's $1 or $50, you always spend all your money. It always goes down to its minimum. So what this income does is it increases the number that it drops to. So eventually, if you get the right cards that's increasing that, you could just be buying cards freely every turn because your minimum income is what it costs to buy most of the stuff on the board. I don't remember if there's any expansion. I think there is expansions for this.
There's at least one.
But it's just like, I think, more ships and stuff.
I think so.
And a little more complexity in the ships. But overall, a really solid game. Components are nice. Artwork is a little cartoony, which I don't mind. And like I said, I've been a little obsessed with this game. Like, I want to play right now. Ralph, you've played this before.
I have. I do like this game. And one thing I like in particular is that the rulebook actually helps you out. And because right off the bat, you're thinking, okay, I got to roll these numbers, blah, blah, blah. But what the rulebook expressly tries to explain is that bell curve you were talking about, where when you're talking about 1 through 12, no one thinks of the bell curve of the middle of that board, of those that range of numbers.
All I see is the curve.
Is like the middle is going to be the most, popularly rolled or statistically rolled numbers.
Yeah.
Whether you're splitting the die or combining them, right? The range is just bigger. And what you were saying, Jermaine, about Chris really liking like mathy thinking games, if she hasn't played this, she would love it.
Well, so this reminds me of, I won't remember the name, but I'm going to describe it to you.
Okay.
It was
hear it.
basically stocks. It was the game where it was a lot of little squares.
Oh,
and
Acquire.
Acquire.
Yeah.
Mine and Christine's favorite game.
Yeah, which she was supposed to come back and play that with you.
She still owes me. Christine, if you're watching,
Oh yeah.
I'm waiting. I got rid of one of my copies. I only have 2 now.
She made you bring it in for like 3 weeks straight. I never played.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But when you were describing it, I was thinking of like, this is like Space Roulette and Acquire.
It's space roulette, yeah, basically. Because it's entirely possible because it's like an Acquire. It's entirely possible to the best payouts is on the other player's turns.
Yeah,
more
right,
than what you're
exactly.
doing for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is actually a great segue of another thing that I love about this game is it's always you always are paying attention. You're always involved.
Yes,
That's the biggest thing that I've heard about this game before I got a chance to play it. Because not only are you rolling the die on your turn, you're paying attention to the die on everybody else's.
Yep.
Because you have to decide whether you're going to split those numbers or combine them to get your payouts once you start progressing your row to the point where you get benefits on other people's turns.
Yep. I was gonna say that games. That's I think like something that made like Katana hit back in the day. It was one of the first games that came mainstream where you are paying attention to other people's turns. Maybe in Monopoly a little bit, but once they're away from your little leg of the board, you're like, piss off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do very much enjoy games that keep people engaged in that way. This one is a great example of that.
Except when you have to go to the bathroom, you're like, watch my board.
Yeah.
I remember one of the previous game days when we played that. That was a big thing. Is like,
Yeah.
you know, like you had to go and then I had to go, and I'm like, just watch my board, gain my
Just
money,
play
like,
with it, yeah.
play for me.
Play my guy for me. Now, in the end, though, Space Base, it is a dice game. So there's a lot of randomness. So if you're into very strategic, you have a lot of control, you might not enjoy this game.
I would argue
Isn't there room
You
for
might.
for the strategy?
There's room to mitigate, but there's not a super amount of control because not only are you working against the dice because of its like a market-based card system, you're also at the mercy of cards coming out of the deck,
that's fair.
which so it's not a lot.
Like any good dice game, it gives you options to mitigate, and that's all we ask for.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I ask for, because if you're just making me straight roll for something without modifiers or a way to modify it with cards or
Exactly.
then that gets a little much.
It's got enough to feel like your turns are meaningful, and even sometimes it is dumb luck. But if you're into that, if you're into gambling, and you like the sensation of like putting all your resources in the one number that's highly unlikely, but you got it stacked with like say you got an 11 that's just stacked way up on the red part, and then you're like, no one's gonna roll 11. Somebody rolls an 11 and just shoots you off into the lead.
Yeah.
That's a good feeling. I like that. But yeah, when did this game even come out? Does anybody know?
At least 3-4 years ago. I remember I played this with my parents before the pandemic, so it's at
this-
least that old.
The copyright date on this box is 2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I highly recommend it to anyone who's looking for a dice game. It's better than Machikoro, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I'd say that.
You got to play it too, Jermaine.
What was it that even suckered you into it? Like, because you said this conjured up the feelings of you
So
being
I
excited.
what suckered me in? I feel like Ralph had mentioned Space Base was a good game, like offhandedly a while ago. And then
Michael's a big fan of it too.
Michael's the one who taught it to me
Yeah.
because he brought it to one of our Crawlcons. And I played it and I was just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then I think I told Ralph, I said, I'm going to buy it. And he's like, Andrew, you already own it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? What do you mean I own it?
This came from your stockpile from Stay and Play.
Yeah.
I remember because in my head, I have stupid memory where I can remember the most stupid things that are insignificant to my life.
like someone else's inventory.
Yeah,
of
like
board games.
I had to load them in that damn truck too, so you bet I was keeping track.
Well, because I kept thinking it was there's another game in here that's called like Terra Prime, which has a very similar. There it is.
See, I
See,
know
he
where
knows
these
where
games
it
are.
is.
Put this here.
Pass that
They
down.
had a very similar box
Yeah.
art going.
Yeah.
Right. They both got. It's a little cartoony. There's ships flying in through space. There's a space station in the
There's
background.
a space station in each, 2 ships flying away.
Yeah.
There might be, well, there's 3 on Terra Prime, but there might be a third on that space base box. I don't know.
So I kept thinking that I thought I had Space Base, and I thought I only had this, which is why I said I was going to buy it. And then we came in, you're like, here it is. And I was like on the shelf the whole time.
Yeah.
But
And it's actually not even a cheap game. From what I remember, I think I got it when it was pretty new, and I think it was like $40 tops.
for Space Base?
Yeah. Nowadays, because it's a little older, a little more popular, maybe prices dropped, but
Yeah. Now I'm interested about Terra Prime, though. If I like Space Base, surely Terra Prime will be awesome, right?
no.
Is that how that
No.
works?
Probably not.
Well, you know what? Let's find out. Well, let's do the research just in case.
All right. I'll try to. That'll be my goal for next podcast. I'm going to try to play Terra Prime and tell you if it's better or worse than Space Base.
Yeah.
Or the same. Oh, but Terra Prime's a Tasty Rituals game. We got to play it in
Yeah.
honor.
It's usually pretty good. Usually pretty good games.
So if you don't know, Jermaine,
No, I don't.
Tasty Minstrel Games is they're not completely out of business, but they're like super downsizing. You said this was a bit of news a while back.
Yeah, and there was actually a follow-up piece of news to that, because I had noticed. So what we had said was they were halting production on any new games and just focusing on getting their inventory out. So
Right.
any existing stock that they had, they were trying to get out. And then later, about maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I had seen that like they launched a Kickstarter, and I'm like, hold on a minute, somebody said no new games here. What's going on?
They couldn't resist.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm getting the companies confused, but
Yeah.
it was interesting. Like whatever company that was, I had saw that they threw up a Kickstarter. I'm like, sons of guns.
Got them.
Yeah,
Did they come out with anything well known? Were they?
Tasty Minstrel Games?
Yeah.
Off the top
I'm
of my head,
blanking.
I've heard the company many a time. I can't think of something noteworthy off the top of my head.
just all long enough.
But we have the power of the internet.
Yeah.
To the internet.
I'm glad that it isn't
Don't mind my
completely obvious
knew it.
because
Big Tasty Minstrel. What?
No,
I was worried you guys
Oh,
were gonna-
Orleans. That's the one. Have
Have we played that?
I've never played it, but
Okay.
that's a classic.
let's see.
Yeah, I was worried you guys were
Crusaders.
going to say, "Oh, obviously
Crusaders.
this game right here."
Oh, Dungeon Roll. I have that.
Dungeon Roll. Well,
like-
that's not a popular one.
I like Dungeon Roll. I'm popular.
Andrew, we're into board games. None of us are popular.
True. And Scoville. I've heard of that one.
Yeah, Yokohama I've heard of. Yeah, I guess Orleans is like their biggest named.
That's the name I've heard thrown around the most is Orleans.
Like, don't get me wrong; these games are all probably like pretty popular, but they aren't ones in my, my orbit.
Yeah. Kurt's been bringing Crusaders a lot to the
Where?
to the meetup.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Thy will be done.
I will be done. Yo, they got a podcast too.
No, there's only one podcast in these parts.
Our podcast?
Yeah.
Shut Up and Sit Down's podcast?
No, our podcast. Whose side are you on?
Shut Up and Sit Down.
Look at this. More tasty games.
More
what a,
tasty
what a slogan.
games.
All right.
Anyways, so what were we talking about?
We're talking about
Tasty Minstrel
Tasty
games.
Minstrel
All right.
Yeah.
So, in any case, that's that.
Which now that we looked at their game list, I don't think that was the company that we were talking about. I think
About
it was
starting
about-
a Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think it was a different news article for a different company.
We'll have
Fake
to go
news.
back. You're gonna have to go back and actually listen to the episodes and find it, Ralph.
Gross.
That way we can put an errata out in case we were reporting the news incorrectly.
Thank God this is only episode 4 on YouTube, so I only have to go back to. I'm pretty sure it was episode 1. Was
Yeah.
the. Yeah,
So-
I'll have to see.
I don't think it's episode 1 of the audio podcast. We had a soft reboot recently.
Okay.
It's like a.
No, I'm saying episode 1 of the YouTube, the soft reboot.
I think it was before that, but
Really
yeah, this was. I think this was pretty sure this
Ooh.
was during the audio days.
interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go check it out.
All right. Anyways, so do we want to do some board game news, or do we want to check in on Joey and see if he's still alive?
I mean, we can try and check in on Joey.
Yeah, I want to hear
All
from
right.
Joey.
Let's give me a second. I'll see if he's on there. Oh, he's streaming the game. Joey,
Hey, Joey.
what you working on, bud?
He's totally trying to
I can't tell if
focus
he
right
hears
now.
us.
I can't hear him.
I know I switched the outputs. Oh,
I don't hear him. Or Joey. No.
oh, I heard something.
Yeah, his mic's firing up.
So this is why Joey's not here this week. He's been quite busy, as
Researching.
most people
Researching.
You know, from this image, it's clear that his fingers are still working and operable as he's fighting this wolf Tyrannosaurus or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Tyrannowolf. So
You can
that's
turn on
good.
the camera.
No. All right, let's leave him be. He is obviously preoccupied.
Okay, maybe Ralph, you can try off screen to see if he's.
Oh, that's gonna be an audio nightmare. Do you want echo? I got echo.
No, it's like an echo. Everything's going in the recorder. Yeah, we're on. His little green. He's probably screaming right now.
Yeah.
his little icon keeps lighting up.
But not at us. He's screaming at this stupid dinosaur thing.
Yeah, I think it's a dog.
A dinosaur
Yeah.
dog, yeah.
So, yeah, Joey.
Yeah, Joey. Woo! That's my
But
boy.
there's 12 more of them.
Look at that armor. So regal.
That was just a normal boss walking around the.
That wasn't even a boss.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, we'll leave it running in the background, see if it pipes in or not.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't hear anything.
I tried looking up that news article and it's not in our chat. It must be somewhere else that I linked it.
Now, next thing we want to talk about. So, 2 weeks ago, we talked about a Kickstarter game called, when you were talking,
Deep Rock Galactic.
Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah.
So we talked about it on the show, and then tonight, Jermaine kind of offhandedly mentioned that he was maybe interested in that.
Yeah, because I've played a ton of the actual video game,
Yeah.
and I've seen this pop up a couple times. Ignored it. But I think because I was watching, I guess, episode 3, one of the episodes where you guys were getting on Joey about his minis, his love of minis.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of this, so I looked it up again, and I was asking you guys. I wonder. Well, I mentioned I'm curious how true to the video game it is, because the video game, it gives you the experience of Starship Troopers getting overwhelmed by these bugs while you're trying to collect minerals. You're a space dwarf collecting minerals for a company.
Do you get to shower together like in Starship Trooper?
That was your one takeaway of the movie?
That's all I remember.
I remember it being an okay movie.
I love Starship Troopers.
I remember
Yeah.
NPH. I do know that
Chief Scientist NPH.
it actually skews quite a bit away from the books.
There's
Because
books?
Yeah,
It was
I
based
didn't
off-
know that.
so Starship Trooper is based off of a book series by some guy who's in the military, but like from what people say, a lot of his books he's like way too up being in the military's ass.
Yeah,
And like
okay,
he genuinely believes that there should be a citizen ranking system where
Oh wow.
you're more of a citizen if you're enlisted versus a
that's
civilian.
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but so they, I guess it was a good enough story where they're like, hey, we can take this story and make it into our movie. And the movie's, is a lot more satirical with,
Yeah, I was
with
gonna
the
ask
war
is-
stuff.
Yeah, because I'm sure his book doesn't have as much satire.
No, his
So
book.
maybe
is-
they're making fun of his
I think
book.
they're making fun of him, which that's an interesting. I wonder.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, should do more book adaptations of that, where the movie's just making fun of the author.
Yeah.
But
So, I mean, it looks pretty similar to the game. I haven't played the game, but from what I can tell, you're going to have 4 unique characters, each with different abilities, which is also similar to the game.
Yep.
And you're going to be overrun by, I think they said there was 33 cutouts for the glyphid creatures,
Yeah.
right? And, let me scroll back up where they actually show the board in action.
Yeah.
So you're going to have different terrain and different mineral pockets and things like that, while also trying to fight off. I think it'll be a pretty close approximation to.
I think the only thing we were worried about is how is the enemy AI handled. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't remember them mentioning an app.
I don't see one.
So-
And sorry for anybody who's trying to read all this at home. But yeah, you'll have like your different weapons.
little
and
loadout.
I'm assuming these are like items and ammo and
You get drunk at some point.
Maybe in the game you can get drunk and it will affect. If you jump in your space pod to land fast enough, you'll still have the effects of being drunk while you're trying to fight off these space bugs.
Yeah.
It's a good message to kids. Don't
Yes.
drink, don't drink an escape pod.
Don't drink and drill. Brought to you by Deep Rock Galactic. So with these mission books that it includes, my guess is that it's more Gloomhaven style, where it outlines a mission, and then at certain points when you reveal certain things or look at certain tiles, like this little question mark.
Yeah.
My guess is like that's what triggers certain things,
Okay.
like the aliens coming out and all of that.
So ideally, they have very simple AI, and any special rules for the enemies is outlined in the setup.
Yeah. And keep in mind, folks, this is my first time really looking at this, but I feel like I have good gamer sense to.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Again, I know nothing about the board game, but assuming because the board game is based off the video game, your intuition about what you see here relates very well to the video game.
Nice.
So
I remember liking the video, and usually I'm apprehensive to a lot of the Kickstarter games Joey pulls up, but this one actually seemed interesting to me.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that's off-putting is that's a lot of minis and a lot of little things to keep track of.
Yeah.
That is one thing that we mentioned. I think we actually spawned a conversation from it. Is the regular edition actually comes with the only minis are your characters and everything else is a standee, which is nice because then you're not dealing with the bulk of storing 33 plus minis, and probably some bosses
And
too.
then having them unpainted.
Yeah. So I do appreciate that. And this is kind of going back to our Kickstarter conversation before about, you can get as expensive with a game as you want because you're going to pay for extra minis. Not extra, but minis instead of standees. You're going to pay for maybe different, expansions and things like that. But it's nice that they offer a standard edition where it's base game, stretch goals, and just basic, standees.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit better. Plus, it brings the price down a lot. $65.
Yeah.
It's a chunky game, especially if there's only 8 missions.
And like we said, the benefit of a standee over a mini is that whatever the artwork for the game is obviously going to come out way more in a standee than in a 3D image. Because look at some of those monsters. They don't look like they would translate super well to a mini.
Yeah. So for example, look at this big chunker. This guy right here, right? Because I know I saw a mini for him. So keep this in mind, right? You got the little crab looking dude with the mandibles and the gross teeth. And then let's come down here. Where are the bosses? Just below this.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
Right here. This little oppressor. So it's cool.
Yeah.
But, depending on how much more it is, they're also big minis. So if I keep scrolling down, there was a scale down here. So your average character, hold on, stay with me, folks.
Yeah, this is
Stay with
hurting
me.
someone's eyes.
Yeah.
there we go.
So you have 42 millimeters for your standard player character, and then that same chunker, 75. So you're storing all this somewhere in your house,
Yeah.
right? This is insane. It's a lot of, that's definitely something to think about. Minis are cool, but do you have an extra game space on your shelf that
Right.
you're gonna
And
need?
we don't know what the storage solution that comes with the game is going to be.
Right.
So sometimes they actually provide you with nice little slots for everything. Sometimes they're like, here's your minis, asshole. Good luck.
Here's some plastic bags. There's a bunch of loose minis in there.
Godspeed.
I don't recall you paying for a box.
Oh, the box cost extra. That was the last stretch.
I want my Ziploc
We
bag
got
back.
it. The next Kickstarter scam. We kickstart a game, but in the fine print, you have to pay extra for the box.
Yeah.
That'll get them.
But overall, it looks pretty cool. It seems like there's a decent variety in the type of enemies that you're fighting. So they all, and this is kind of going to make the game a little bit clunky too,
I
because
was just about to say that another con would be trying to retain whatever the ruling is for each different thing, and when the scenarios interrupt each other, and now we're doing this.
yeah. So where if you just have a generic bad guy, skeleton, whatever, it swings at you and hits you. But if now all of a sudden, if I'm saying if because I haven't read it, but if this let's say the spitball infector attacks differently than any other of its unique counterparts, what does that mean? Is that a special attack that now has different rule sets? Is it just a
Right.
generic maybe it rolls a D8 instead of a D6. Like, I mean, there's all things to look into, but it looks like a pretty. I know Andrew said you said that I kind of crapped on this game, but like now that I'm looking at it, it looks pretty good.
They got you.
So I take it back. It looks pretty good.
Yep. We'll see.
I would just be the idiot going around mining everything, like completely ignoring.
That's viable.
I think Joey said he backed it, so you will get a chance to play it.
And player specific abilities, that's pretty cool. I'm always a big fan of player powers, regardless of what game. Although I'm getting big Nemesis vibes with these like little fire things.
Maybe that's what did it for Joey.
Maybe. Goo from above. I need the Nickelodeon slime expansion.
I take it back. That's what got Joey.
Yeah.
He's like, give me the goo.
Yeah, that and the neoprene mat. He'd be all about that.
Neoprene mat's the future of board gaming.
So-
And a mouse pad. Just why not?
Just because?
Yep.
Because clearly you're playing the video game too. So this is
Obviously.
Oh, I didn't even think about. You said obvious. It wasn't obvious to me. But you're right. You're 100% right. Ow. You're 100% right. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So what are your thoughts, Jermaine? You're like, is that something you would back after the fact, or?
I'm very stingy when it comes to
okay.
Kickstarters. I've backed 3 things ever. So the short answer is probably
It's a lot of money for cardboard and
Probably
plastic.
not. Okay. Probably not, mainly because I don't have the space for that.
Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Like Chris and I have. How long have we been coming to your events?
Oh, at least 2 years, if not more.
In at least 2 years, we have decided to. Actually, we didn't purchase either. We were gifted 2 games. Nice. We may have purchased one, so we
2 white
purchased.
elephants.
We purchased one, and we were gifted one.
You guys weren't at the last white elephant.
No, I think I was away. I think I was away.
It's away, hiding out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I was away.
Don't ask. Then the general
Don't
will
ask,
show up
yeah.
at the door.
So would I back it? I'm not going to say no. I would need the space and enough people as enthusiastic about the game.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. Is there's been plenty of games that I've just passed on because I know that even if it comes with solo rules, I'm not gonna probably play it. Like I bought a couple games that I told myself like, yeah, I can play solo if nobody wants to play this game with me, or if I can't get people interested, and I just never ended up playing them solo. Like I still think I want to eventually, but it's so far not happened.
Yeah.
So that's like a super important thing is the people around you. Like, do you know people who want to play? And for you, most of the time that person's gonna be Chris.
Yeah. And that's why we have 2 games. One of them being the oh man, it's a shoot.
You have That's So Clever.
That's so clever. Yeah, that's exactly the one I was thinking of. Do you have it here?
It's I just had it in my hand.
It's a quick and easy dice game. You could play with just 2 people. You could play by yourself. And that's a game where us 2 like losers can sit across from each other and just play that game. Yeah.
yeah.
And it is totally Chris's type of game.
Yeah.
And I barely
Sounds like she likes rolling rights.
sure.
Oh, that's what that game is. It's a roll ends right.
Oh, yeah.
So which is its own genre of game. So
Okay.
maybe you guys should look into more of that. I have one that I still haven't played.
You put that away. Don't get got away.
She mainly likes the fact that it's working out how to give yourself the biggest boost.
Oh, there it is. I've had this one. Sorry. I've had this one for quite some time. So it's Super Skill Pinball. It's
Forcade.
It's got 4 different pinball levels. And I think it's even got it's got these cool little half sphere shiny pinballs that you actually use to move around. But it's very similar to That's So Clever in the sense is you're rolling dice and you're spending the dice to get the best scores somehow.
Maybe, yeah.
And I want to say this
we'll
one
keep track of
was who designed this one? What's his name? Geoff? I don't even think he's accredited.
Oh my.
No.
Well,
They would definitely put his name on it. I can't remember. I remember seeing, because he posted in some of the Facebook groups, and he was like showing some of his production stuff. And I think he was the one. I could be fabricating this whole memory, but I believe the guy did this game, and he was using it as an example to, if you are a game designer, sometimes it's better to just create a game with very minimal graphics, because the publisher is going to decide, graphically what it's going to look like.
Oh, that's a good point.
Which is, I think, is what I would do. Because kickstarting is like, I feel like everyone sees Kickstarters and like, I could do it, but I feel like you're better off a lot of times, especially if you don't really have a name for yourself. You're better off trying to get published in the beginning. Because then when you go to Kickstarter, you actually have a name for yourself. Well, that's my opinion.
Jeff Engelstein?
Mr. Engelstein, also the author.
Is he in the credits?
Oh, I was going to say, how do I know that name? We've talked about this before.
Also the
Does
author
his name only
of...
pop up in the credits in the back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually it's on the box, but maybe he was like, nah, you can leave me out of that one.
Also co-wrote Building Blocks of Tabletop Game Design, an Encyclopedia of Mechanisms, which is a pretty cool book if you can get it when it's in print. It's basically an encyclopedia that outlines and describes every single mechanic, I guess, up until the point that this book was made.
Yeah.
What the mechanics called, examples of it in different games, and the key functions of it and stuff like that.
Very cool.
So it's not really a book I think you would read cover to cover, but like if you were designing a game and you were like, thinking about using a particular kind of mechanic, this would be super helpful to kind of read a little more information as given by, seasoned designers on how they view that mechanic.
I want to say that book, the cover of it looks exactly like every programming book ever.
It does.
There's always a random image on the front. I mean, this one makes sense, so it's not as random, but like programming books have like birds and rhinoceros on it, and like for no reason.
Because I don't want you to remember that you're trapped in front of a computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad has a bunch of programming books, and like the C+ or C1. Okay. It's not, I don't have the books, he has the books. But yeah.
So yeah, roll and writes. There's lots of them. Cartographers is another really super popular one.
That
Welcome
one's
to
familiar.
not so much with numbers, but Welcome to is another one.
I think I've heard that one.
There's another one where you're drawing a roadmap across the country. I can't remember the name of it though.
That reminds me, there's also one with you're like building train tracks too.
We played that one, yeah.
That's the one. You have the train track
in
one?
Europe, and you could play different.
No, that was a Ticket to Ride.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about specifically where you're like with a little marker and your
okay.
little pad, kind of drawing stuff out.
Yeah. Imperial Settlers has a roll and write game. I'm just trying to run off like a quick list if anybody wants to check it out.
Yeah. Rolling Realms.
Yes.
Mr. Stegmaier's game. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Railroad Inc. is the one you're thinking
Railroad Inc. Oh, I get it. Oh, shit.
of. Yeah. But not all of them are necessarily dice games. I think most of them are, but not it might not be the same dice mechanics as That's So Clever.
Maybe I'm getting a little out of the genre. Well, they all have in common where you have some kind of like pad of paper that you're
Exactly.
scribbling on.
Right, because you can't. I mean, roll. What else are you rolling? It's got to be dice, but it's not necessarily like That's So Clever is a Yahtzee style mechanic, whereas, something like Welcome to is not.
Right.
Well, I've never played that, so I might be wrong. I might be overstepping there, but
Anyways, before we
no one's gonna Google that.
Yeah. So yeah, more roll and write games. Super popular over the pandemic, so I think a few came out during then.
And they're super portable.
Yeah.
I was thinking about why both of us might like this, especially Chris, because a lot of the very old games that she would play with family were just the right portion of games. Like it would be, I don't even know what the stupid game is, but like you have to draw a line and you take turns drawing a line, but then you have to box each other in.
I've played so much of that.
What is that called? You just unlocked a childhood memory.
Yeah.
Like, I played the hell out of that.
Yeah. I'm just gonna spend the rest of the podcast in the nostalgia fueled coma.
Her family played, like, I played that, but her family played an ungodly amount of that game.
Jeez.
So I guess maybe that and her liking numbers. Whoops. And then there's a little bit of gambling sensation when it comes to
Yeah.
rolling dice.
Yeah, that's like Space Base.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
feel like you're gambling and hitting jackpots. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what, Jermaine? Why don't you borrow it? That way you have to come
okay.
back and report in on it.
Okay, yeah, I'll let you know
Give us
what
your
we thought.
review.
Yeah, okay,
All right.
we'll do.
Okay, so let's jump into some board game news. Oh, we're at 58 minutes already.
Wow.
Oh,
What?
there we go.
Don't my
Okay.
chat.
So I have a couple bits of news today. First, this caught my eye really hard because Dead by Daylight is getting a board game adaptation that includes Meat Hook Minis.
That's very cool.
So for those of you that don't know, Dead by Daylight is an asymmetrical, it's kind of a glorified hide and seek, if you will. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it.
It's not hide and seek because the hiders have objectives.
Okay.
So it's
It's an all versus one.
yeah, it's a 4v1 asymmetric killer game.
Right. There's some variable powers. It's very in depth in the builds you can make. Mm-hmm. And this is all me second. I played it once. I didn't really care for it.
Me and Michelle are obsessed with this game.
Yeah,
Amanda
Michelle-
and Brian as well.
Yeah,
to some
all my
extent.
friends play it constantly, and on the
You've
one hand,
elected to.
Yeah.
I kind of feel a little bad I don't play with you guys, but also I like use that time that Michelle's distracted to just go do other stuff.
Oh, we talk about that all the time. We're like, no, he likes this time. Let him go.
Yeah, I play my VR headset, or I'm in here on my Beat Boot box making sick beats, or just try to sneak off and go to bed early before
Yeah.
Michelle starts talking to me about another house project. Although sometimes I've tried to go to sleep and then Ralph's the killer and she's just screaming bloody murder
Yeah.
with me 5 feet away in the room.
Yeah. I think sometimes that's on purpose, I think.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm not that good at
screen's
the
off.
game. I'm just saying.
In any case, Dead by Daylight. The only thing that bugs me it's what we've been saying. It's a little bit of IP saturation.
Yep.
It's like if it's a video game now, it has to have a board game. Mm-hmm. And they don't really say this is kind of a teaser. They kind of this is kind of the only image of it, but it's you can assume what the game's going to be like. It's going to be 4 versus 1. There's going to be variable player powers for both the survivors and the killer, and you're going to be running around trying to get gens going and all that.
Yep. It's interesting because as someone who plays the game a lot, you can abstract a lot from this image.
Oh, do tell, because to me, it's
So in the game, there's generators around the map and you're trying to start 5 of them. And what you're trying to do is power these gates so that you can escape the killer, essentially. And the killer's role is to kill you all
kill you. Yeah,
and
hence the name killer.
prevent you from the generators. Also within the game, in between all of these different generators, are various mechanisms that the survivors can use to escape the killer. There's windows that you can vault. There's pallets that you can throw to block the way. And you can kind of see a lot of that within this game board. So you'll notice how all of these areas, like these little boxes, are connected by lines that are drawn and various poses. I'm going to call them poses where, like, for example, I'm going to borrow the mouse really quick. So right here, you can see a person crouching. Typically, that's a very stealthy, very slow movement, right? Here, it kind of looks like a very normal, maybe sort of running. No, this is normal because here's running over
Yeah, they're
here.
definitely doing like a sneaky sneak.
Yeah.
like,
And this, I for the longest time thought it was like a security camera. No, this is somebody
jump?
vaulting
that's
something. Yeah.
long jumping.
So because you're constantly navigating to different generators around the map and using obstacles within the map between those generators, you can easily see that like these boxes are the generators and you have some order or mechanism in which you have to get yellow, red, blue, or green and then navigate around to the different ones. And I'm betting that these are different progress stages. Some are maybe a little more complicated. Some have some similar colors. So maybe there's some aspect of like, oh, well,
I wonder if it's
You
like
know,
like Pandemic, where you're getting cards and stuff, and you have the right combination of. Where in Pandemic you need X amount of the same color. Maybe this one you guys need to share cards to get to that. Maybe.
yeah. And you can see up here, this little hand of cards where it's blue, red, green, and yellow, also kind of linking back to these colors, I'm betting you're expending cards either to travel between two areas
or to unlock.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then you're probably going to, like, this is the track for how many times people have been hooked. So in the video game, you can hook someone twice, and then the next time you hook them, they die forever. So 3 total. So you can kind of see that in a 4-player game, they're kind of assuming that like 2 hook states are fine. And then these 5 are the generators that you've completed. So I'm willing to bet that you're going to have player powers up here. You're going to have to spend these are called blood points. You're going to have to spend these somehow to either use those abilities. You're spending your cards. These die are interesting. I know I'm like friggin' Charlie Day conspiracy theory here.
Done well.
But I think like, you know,
I feel like you just taught me the game.
like the survivors are going to have die that they're going to need to make certain checks on. You know, it would be a really simple mechanic, but like you have to spend X amount of blood points and then like roll below it. Like I would 100% believe that
like you're setting your difficulty.
Yeah. So if you spend 2 blood points, you have to roll between
Right.
2 and 1 or something like that. You know?
Or it could be like action points for the killer.
Could be.
So they're like, isn't that's how like the Lord of the Rings game is, right? Like when you're Sauron, you have like a lot of dice, but you're not guaranteed to be able to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You are super powerful, so randomly you'll get a good roll that's like just crushing people.
Yeah. So there's definitely some aspect of like die rolling here for survivors, and then the red die is for the killer. And a lot of the iconography translates over from the game, where like this is the icon that you use for like when a survivor is dead.
That's definitely not the Scream mask.
It's yeah. So like there's a lot here that you can kind of get from this image. I do think it's going to be a pretty basic game. Like it's kind of basic to just like roam around the map and spend cards to do different things, but
yeah,
it appeals to the most amount of people for a very flashy IP.
Right, and especially when you're in a situation where you're trying to bring in board gamers with the video game IP, and that's I think aside from the Kickstarter games, a lot of, I guess that is a Kickstarter game. What am I saying? But you'll notice a lot of video game crossover board games that are trying to bring in video gamers. They don't want to alienate them with a super board gamey board game. Right. And so it's probably, like you said, it's probably going to be on the simpler side. It's probably going to be at the level of like Horrified or something.
Yeah.
Like that Prospero Hall level, which they do a great job at making simple rules into a fun game that even an experienced board gamer will enjoy without being so difficult that it alienates newcomers to board games. And then this one too, because it's co-op based, assumingly for the survivors, that's also a good way of also helping people coming in, because whoever's buying this game is more likely probably in the board games and then wants to drag all their friends who play the video game in. So it's good to have co-op games like that where you can basically coach them and not quarterback them, just coach them on how to play.
I will say, like, just the board in general, there's a lot to be desired there. Like, I hope this is a prototype, but
yeah,
you know, you probably could have made it look a little better than like friggin' Windows 95 squares. Like, this just looks like an app is crashing on my Windows 95 and like 400 windows just opened up. You know, yeah. Like, I mean, like the mechanics are sound that like you're paying for movement to get to certain places, depending on what you have, and like you're never stuck in one area. Even though it looks like there is some direction where some of these have arrows and others don't. You know, it does look somehow directed, but I mean, I still want to play this either way just to see how close it is.
Yeah. And you never know, they might do an expansion where it is more like it's a level where it's a little more not as straightforward in the directions you're moving and stuff, but actually looks like the map.
Yeah.
So,
but I think this is good. The one thing I know it's not going to have is all of the extended IP characters. So like this video game does feature IP related characters like Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Mike Myers or Nemesis from Resident Evil. and they definitely will not have the licenses for any of those. So you're going to play one, maybe two, killers that are in-house IP, and then survivors. You're probably only going to play one killer, and then the player boards just swap.
It's definitely going to have there's like three original killers from the very beginning.
I think there's like 5 or 6. Like there's enough that they could have a good, and they shouldn't just ship this with one killer and 4 survivors. That would be insane.
I don't think they're going to do that.
Because
there'll be at least 3 different killers minimum.
The other thing too that this lid to the box is kind of blocking, but it could be that this is a 2 to 4 player game and there's some AI for the killer. That's not something I actually thought of until just now. Even though it looks like there's like a little bit of a killer player board sticking out there.
Trying to keep that a secret.
But that would be very like pivotal with this game, is if you had a bunch of different killers and survivors that you can swap in and out of the same map, and just make sure that they all play different. That increases the replayability crazy.
That's really the appeal of the game, right? Is all the different skills and stuff, and like loading out your character and figuring out different skills that work well together and complement each other. And I know I see Michelle watch a lot of TikToks of like, oh, I just figured out if you use this perk and this perk, you could do this now, and it really pisses the killer off and stuff like that.
I'll expect those the next time we all play. But what's interesting too, I'm kind of rambling because like I play the video game, so I'm trying to like translate a lot of it.
You're like a pro at the video game
into
right?
No.
You heard it here first.
No, I'm just the best of the worst that is our group. Like we're all terrible considering how many good people there are out there, and I'm just the best of the worst.
Yeah. They don't know that though.
But in the game, the killer and survivor roles, they feed off of certain notifications of things happening. More so the killer, where you don't know 100% of the time where everybody is. And from a top-down view, it almost looks like this game would be a way better hidden movement game, where you only pop up, for a game like Fury of Dracula or Spectre Ops or, Letters from Whitechapel, like you only pop up when somebody's around, or like if you're chasing somebody.
Right. And then there'd be skills to like better locate versus better move around.
Yeah. So it's interesting because, from a killer's perspective, in a board game, you see everything. Like, where these people that you need to kill are. But should you, right? Compared to the game, the game makes it hard for you to find them unless you have.
Yeah. Unless that's what the dice are for.
Maybe.
You're limited by the areas you can interact with.
Yeah.
That kind of piques my interest though, when you mentioned the possibility of not knowing where they are. Maybe until you're in the area or until they interact with something.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about the roles are reversed now, where you've played this game, and you could thereby educate us on this board game. But looking at it, the same criticism you had about it looking very plain, I was like, oh, okay, I'll wait to hear what's interesting about it. But nothing visually was interesting. The moment you started speaking about it, sounds great. So maybe, hopefully they do update it, or they have the right idea where they convince you to get it first, and then you talk your friends into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't remember. Did it say who the publisher is?
Level 99, I think, right?
I don't think I'm familiar with them. Because I could easily see this game also going to retail soon after and being sold at like GameStop and stuff. Which I do like that GameStop's starting to carry board games more.
It will launch on Kickstarter. I think Level 99 is working with Behavior. Behavior is the company that owns Dead by Daylight. Developer Level 99. Yeah. So it's going to go to Kickstarter. Either me or Michelle is going to buy it.
Go ahead.
And we're going to figure it out. We're going to...
It's happening.
Minis in the game will come unpainted, gross. And then... so the ones in the images... up here were professionally painted, so this isn't going to be.
I could paint this for you.
It's the Wraith. I just want the Hook minis. Like that. How cool is that?
Yeah, there's a Hook mini. Where's the Hook minis on the other board?
I don't.
There's got to be more to it. That's like.
I just want to say, and I hope whoever needs to hear this is listening. there better be a hole in the back of these characters so I can put them on the hook. If I can't put them on the hook, I'm going to be very upset.
Right?
Like, oh, is that Joey?
Maybe.
You want me to do a slight detour?
Yeah. I'll cover the screen just in case. Oh, is he calling?
No, I think we were still in it.
Oh, we're still in his thing.
Wait. Joey? I thought maybe it's Michelle next door, but I thought I heard Joey's
Probably
audio.
playing Dead by Daylight.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going back to
some technical
oh god,
difficulty.
going back to this. So yeah, the previews were just professionally painted. Graphics of running, jumping, and fleeing. Okay. Survivors will have to navigate the board to get bonuses to avoid, and also avoiding killers. Killers, plural. Okay.
Whoa.
It's looking up. It's looking up. Work together to power up generators, open a gate, while one supernatural killer hunts them down. Okay. I mean, I'm definitely interested in playing it, if only because I've played the video game.
Yeah.
But there's some cool things that they can do. Like if they just print more of these like little player boards with the powers, like these powers actually, this is interesting because the powers aren't unique necessarily to the player. Each character starts with a certain like 3 powers that are unique to them as part of their lore, but you could gain others. So I'm wondering if this is something like you can swap out powers, or if this is like,
Probably.
if you're this character, you always have these 3.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
So-
surprised if there's either you're going to load out in the beginning or there's some market that you can swap them out as you go.
Yeah. There's just like so much that they can do to increase replayability, even if the board stayed looking like this,
Yeah.
you know? And it's pretty like, I mean, I've never designed a board game, but if you're printing more cards and player boards, like that's relatively cheap compared to other things that you could be paying for, you know?
Right.
So I'm excited. You know, I'm definitely going
I
to
figured
get
you
it
would
and
be.
play it.
I figured you and Michelle would both be like, yo.
Yeah, and we're going to play it with Amanda and Brian.
And I'll actually
and
play it.
Brandy and Sarah and you and...
Oh, I thought you were about to name
in
everybody,
everybody.
and then like leave my name out.
No, absolutely.
You made your decision from
Yeah.
here.
I think it's a really cool game.
We'll play next to you while you're playing VR. How about that?
All right. So yeah, keep an eye out for Dead by Daylight board game. My other piece of news today. So this is the reason I picked this for my piece of news is because this is kind of it is opposite of what I've been complaining about the past few podcasts about IP saturation. So this is a new game coming out by Mr. Rainer Knizia, the board game genius.
You don't have to say it so German like that.
But have you ever heard him talk? He's very German.
He might be, but
Anyways, so San Francisco, it's the first half of the 20th century in an era of dynamic growth and new opportunities. Fun fact, San Francisco was completely destroyed by an earthquake early on and had to be rebuilt into, towards what the modern layout is today. It's also a chance for you, junior urban planner, to take part in a contest of the most amazing reconstruction plan to the city. Sit down with your sketchbook and create a project that will make you stand out from the competition. Design a beautiful city in the game by Rainer Knizia, world famous game designer. Well, gotta lay into that Rainer Knizia. So yeah, you're playing as an urban planner. It's it's named after a city. It's a very mundane career path, and this is like what, this stuff gets me going. Cause like you keep your superheroes and you keep your Marvel. I want to be the Incredible Hulk. No, I want to be a junior urban planner planning out city streets that will attract the most people. That's really,
Yeah. Okay.
it's not out yet. And so it,
did you say IP saturation because of San Francisco?
No. IPs.
No.
It's opposite
Oh,
of IP
opposite of-
saturation.
okay.
It's nice to see a non-IP game coming out that people are excited for. That's not fucking Marvel.
You know what? I'll wait for the expansion.
I'll wait for the
Des Moines,
Marvel-
Iowa. Like, where's the junior urban planner in Des Moines, Iowa?
Yeah, right. There's only one. But yeah, it's a Rainer Knizia game, so you know it's going to be solid. And there's not much information on it, but it's supposed to come out this year. And I just got this straight from Board Game. I think if you search it, there's similar to how the Dead by Daylight was, where it's just going to kind of tease you what it is. But I'm looking forward to that. I like I like some dry games once in a while.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's all the news I have. Does anybody else have any board game news?
I wonder if Reiner Knizia was sitting on this while he was working with Bitewing Games. And he was like, I'll give you these 3 games, but I'm holding this last one for myself.
Well, definitely with that was, hey, Mr. Knizia, we want to buy some games off you. Here you go.
Yeah.
These have been sitting on my shelf for 20 years. So
I'm still excited for those games. I'm waiting for them to get here.
Yep.
So
yep. I mean, when I finish designing my board game, I might hit up a Bitewing.
yeah.
They'll be like, and then they'll say no. But it's like, we work with the likes
Yeah.
of Reiner Knizia.
World famous.
Why would we take your game? Although I did see, actually, Bitewing Games, they did have
There were some teasers for a new game.
there's
that
a
they
new
were
one,
working
and
on.
I think Ryan designed it. So, Bitewing Games.
I'm just having flashbacks to that interview. What a good interview.
That set the bar high. And
It did. And then we stumbled a little bit after, I think. Just because like
Trailblazers.
that's at that time where like we were gung ho into doing interviews, and then we slowly like got out of it, like out of the rhythm of doing interviews. So like it was such a high, and then like we were just sloping downward because like
Well, we're gonna get back to it.
you know?
We're gonna get back to it. We're getting this live thing down, which
Yeah.
I think it's working out. I think people are enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. We will get back to the live, and actually that's why I was hoping we could call Joey on Discord and make sure that all worked. Apparently not.
No, he's actually cursing us out in the Discord chat because we couldn't hear any of the good stuff that he said.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
maybe for the better with Joey. You never know.
Yeah.
But
I don't know what you're looking for, but you had stopped here, I think.
no, that was the one at the top, the Trailblazers.
Oh, okay.
Hey, there's the Criminal Capers.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Bitewing Games, very good dudes. Very, very pleasant to talk to. Super into board games and stuff. This is not a, there's some games out there, just a cash grab. These guys are super passionate about what they do. And yeah,
Gamers making games.
gamers making games. That's what you want. But, so that's all I got. And I guess we'll end the show here.
Yeah.
Bring in my outro music.
Oh.
I made all this music, by the way, Jermaine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how much we play Dead by Daylight. He has all this free time to make all this music.
Anyways, if you're in the South Florida area, we do weekly meetups in Fort Lauderdale at Gulfstream Brewery. If we also do a monthly event at Flynn's Gaming in Margate. So at least 5 times a month to come play games with us. Check out our social media. Subscribe to this channel so you can keep up with every time we go live. And that's it. Still don't have an email, but I've been hitting the record button. So if you're listening to this audio, thanks for listening and putting up with the parts that doesn't make sense because we're
thing.
pointing at things on the screen.
Oh, damn. I got to get better at that. Oh,
Nah, it's okay. We're a live show now.
yeah.
But yeah, see you next time.